Hey everybody, welcome back to Bloodborne. This is going to be part 6 of my arcane playthrough. We're just going to get started off here with going back to the abandoned old workshop so that we can go back to the bottom here and finish up that little area. I didn't actually intend to go to that area of Yahar Ghul yet, but because I died to that Snatcher and I got transported there, I figured I might as well make that last video about that area. So we're just going to head down here again. Try to hit the path that I tried to hit that first time. That enemy that was down here before, the Beast-Possessed Soul, he does not respawn. So if you ever have to go back down there again, you won't have to fight him. Not that he's a particularly hard enemy to fight anyways. In fact, we're going to take a little bit of revenge out on this Snatcher here in just a moment. So yeah, those guys really aren't that tough to defeat if you can actually get the parries off on them. Also, you can stun them with heavy weapons as well. So if you were to use the Kirk Hammer against that guy, even Ludwig's Holy Blade, you can definitely stun lock them and not have to really worry about fighting them in general. And this is the main reason for coming down here. There's an elevator that is going to take you up, and it's going to allow us to open up some shortcuts so that we don't have to keep going around to get to the areas that we need to get to. This also gets you a level 6 thick cold blood there. This is actually what is behind the large graveyard type area. On those stairs where we fought that giant before, there is a gate that you can get through if you have the Hunter Chief emblem. Which I had, but I didn't want to use that shortcut so that I could show off the rest of the level, because if you use that shortcut and you have the Hunter Chief emblem, you don't have to go through all of the stuff that we did. So if you don't want to fight Bloodstarved Beast and go through some of those areas that we just went through, you actually don't have to do that. But you also don't get the Chalice materials that you need to get into the Chalice dungeons. This could also be the first point that you run into the Brainsucker enemies that kind of come from behind these little coffins here and try to sneak up on you. And we're going to have to come back here later. We do not have the password to get in through that door yet. That is the door to the Forbidden Woods. I think I mentioned that in one of the earlier episodes, that if you had used the Hunter Chief emblem, You may have found that door already and weren't able to get through it because you have not fought Vicar Amelia yet. And we're actually going to fight her later in this episode. Yeah, those guys were really out to get me that time. When I'm up here on top of the stairs, I haven't had too many playthroughs where they have kind of come up the stairs and ganged up on me like that, so kind of took me by surprise, but we got through it. And going up this ladder kind of takes you right back up to the rooftops. I think this note right here is a developer note, and I wish that I had actually read it just so I could know what it said. Sorry about that. But if you come up here, you can get some more Quicksilver Bullets in case you're running low. I've never really found that I ran low on bullets in this game at all, just because of how many people actually give them to you. Just never really found a time when I was running low on them or anything like that, unless I was, you know, fighting an enemy that I was really trying to parry and just was not able to do it. And decided I wasn't going to fight any of these church giants here. They don't give a ton of blood echoes, and I don't really need any right now. And they take a long time to fight, so I didn't want to waste a whole lot of time fighting them. But if you walk around there, you can get Madman's Knowledge, which gives you insight. They have a couple different versions of that. They got the Madman's Knowledge, gives you 1 insight per item usage, and then they have the Great One's Wisdom, which I don't remember how many insight that gives you. I believe it's just 2 insight. So it's sort of like the humanities versus the twin humanities in Dark Souls 1. And this guy tried to get me with the flame sprayer. Hit me a little bit, but fortunately did not stun lock me like it can do sometimes. So a lot of this was me kind of exploring, making sure that I got everything that was available down here. I wanted to make sure to grab those poison knives. Using poison in this game is pretty fun. And I wanted to talk to some NPCs down here.
We've the deepest gratitude for the church, and all deepest, widest gratitude. Yes. Yes. Oh my, what a queer scent. But I'd take it over the stench of blood and beasts any day. What is it then? I'm off during hunts, and besides, this is no place for ladies. Wouldn't want to drag you down too. Oh, thank goodness. You're a hunter, aren't you, dear? Might you know of a safe place? is long and very little of the incense left. Please, there must be some nice place to run off to. Oh, thank you, dear. Perhaps I'll see you there. Oh, thank you, dear. Perhaps I'll...
You're not from around here, are you? Well, an outsider who's come to join the hunt? What a pathetic idea. You what? What, you think I'm a beast? Well, maybe I think you're a beast. And step away from our castle. Oh, enough of you. What, you think this is funny? Well, I certainly don't, so be gone with you. I'll have nothing to do with your beast hunts. Well, what's this two-bit nonsense you're peddling? I heard you told that wench about some shelter. Well, she's a damn fool to trust an outsider. Why? Well, her sort's probably just fixing to feed some of your coin. All right. What crafty lies does the outsider have today? You think I'm an easy mark? Yeah? Well, give me your best shot. Yeah, sorry. Too sharp for that bollocks. I know a superstition when I hear one. Outsiders. Even their lies are predictable. What? Still preying on folks with your book of lies? Yeah, fine. Come on, show me what you got. Tell her. Yeah, sorry. Two outsiders.
So that is Ariana and the Skeptical Man. What's interesting about those two is whatever you tell the Skeptical Man to go, he will go to the opposite place. Which is why I told him to go to Yosefka's clinic. People who have played this game before will know that Yosefka's clinic is maybe not the safest place to send somebody. And we'll know why in a few episodes. For Ariana, you want her to go to Odin Chapel if you want her to have the ability to give you one of the items that you need for one of the endings of the game. And it's going to be the ending that we're going to go for. There's a few steps that you have to do to make sure that you can get that item from her, and you don't absolutely need her to get that item, but I like doing her quest line so I can get that item from her. And I find what's interesting about the whole Ariana and the Skeptical Man kind of being across the street from each other is he makes sure to tell you that he can hear what you're telling Ariana. So if he hears you tell her to go to Odin Chapel, I think that he might be thinking that you're telling her to go to somewhere that's unsafe. So if you tell him to go to Odin Chapel, then he thinks you're trying to send him to the same unsafe place, and he'll go to Yosefka's clinic instead. Now, if you were to tell him to go to Yosefka's clinic and told her to go to Odin Chapel, in turn, he could also be thinking that you're trying to send him to an unsafe place and trying to send her to a safe place. So I think either way it kind of works. And I'll find this out later in the playthrough, but I don't recall there actually being anything great that he gives you that you would need him to kind of stay alive for. In my first playthrough, I told him to go to Odin Chapel as well, because I was kind of ruined for what the difference between the two was in my first playthrough. I believe I was watching Epic Name Bros playthrough or a German Spies playthrough while I was kind of going through mine. So I didn't want to send him to Yosefka's clinic, but I didn't know that he would go to the opposite place that you told him to go to at that point in time. So now that we've taken care of that, and we've sent our NPCs back to where we want them to go. I'm going to come back to this area here, and we're going to go to the top instead of down further like we did before. There's a couple guys behind me that I completely forgot about, so get into a little bit of mess here, but we're going to take care of it. And we'll pick up a blood-tinged gemstone there. Not something that I'm really going to need in this playthrough, but good gem for the early game if you're doing a blood-tinged build, because there's not a whole lot that you can get at this point of the game. That's the one thing that I think Dark Souls kind of does better than this particular game. I feel that the builds are pretty limited in the early game, just because of the fact that you do only have a certain amount of weapons that you can use. You have a certain amount of blood gems that you can find, and they pretty much just increase your physical attack. So you actually won't really get much arcane or blood-tinged type stuff until you go into the Chalice dungeons, or until you go to later parts of the game. And I feel like they did that to just make this whole thing kind of more streamlined and maybe a little bit easier to understand than some of the things in Dark Souls, but that does come at the price, I feel, of just not really having many options in the very beginning. And that's sort of why, even though I'm trying to do an arcane build, I'm kind of stuck using Molotov cocktails, fire paper, and the flame sprayer. There's not a whole lot of arcane options for my weapon at this point. But we'll eventually get some more options for that as time goes on. The Radiant Sword Hunter badge that we just got from the top of that area there, that opens up the ability to buy fire paper, which is really going to help out. And in that area, there's actually another door that we can get through, but we won't be able to actually access that until we get to Yahar'gul. At least the area proper, Yahar'gul, and not just the little area that we visited a while ago. Here, I decided to go back into the hacked dungeon that we have opened up. This is why I kept it on that altar, so that we could revisit it if we need to. And the whole reason that I decided to revisit this was literally just so that I could get some blood echoes, and I can stock up on fire paper and blood vials and a couple of other things that you can buy in the shop. I said that I was not going to use this to level up, and I am still adhering to that. If you look, before I get these blood echoes, I have 9,500 blood echoes, and when I go back, I'm going to spend everything but about 10,000 of them, and then I level up using, I think, 7,000 some blood echoes, so it evens out in the end. The reason I'm doing this is because this is something that I would normally do anyways. Before these hacked chalice dungeons were kind of made and discovered and, wider known, I did used to farm for blood echoes and try to get as many as I could so that I could go and grab things from the shop. But in the interest of saving myself time, this is just so much easier to do. I also grabbed Ludwig's Holy Blade because it's my favorite weapon in the game. I really, really like using that weapon, and I want to have it just in case I decide to use it later on in the game. And of course, you can also buy fire paper from the insight messengers for 1 insight each. And I think that's really cool because let's say you're trying to defeat a boss and you run out of fire paper, but you still want to get that extra damage and you have the insight to spend, which typically you would have the insight to spend because you gain insight for various things as you go through the game. If you lose all your blood echoes and still want to keep trying to fight that boss and still want that extra damage, you can come there, use your insight to grab some more fire paper, and you're all set. Now that we're back in Odin Chapel, we can see that we have Ariana here, who's sitting in the chair. And then off in the distance, you can see the skeptical man has made his way here as well. So we're going to talk to them, and then I will be back after that.
Oh, hello, dear. You weren't lying. This is a safe place. Thank you. I am in your debt. I'd like to tender my thanks, but I can't imagine what to offer. All I can give is my blood. But would you even take a whore's blood? Oh, good. Come close, dear. Don't worry, I've done this before. Oh, hello. Sorry, dear, you're much too eager. I've only so much blood, okay? You.
Ah, you. The swindling off-comer. Did you really think that'd work? There's no fooling me. Now, off with you. You heard me. Go away. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath. I'll spare you one nugget of advice. Beware the blind man. There the beggar sits at the bottom of the bloody food chain, and then he's here acting like he owns the place. He's not to be trusted. What's he want with all those people anyway? That little weasel has a murky past, I'm telling you. Give it a rest, please. I've no time for your petty lies. And what? Just go away now. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath. I've no...
So that guy just does not trust anyone, which I can't really blame him. The blind guy who is telling you to bring people to Odin Chapel, I mean, he seems kind of sketchy. I think I said that when we first talked to him. But, you know, turns out he is the safest place to send people here. And I'd actually stopped the game for a moment to answer my phone. I ended up getting attacked by the guy that was behind me, so I had to take care of them. I try to keep my phone off when I'm recording and stuff like that, but sometimes you just kind of have to answer. You can see right here, you can actually summon somebody to help you with Vicar Amelia, but we do not need any help to fight Vicar Amelia at this point in the game with our weapon, the level it is, and everything that we have. But if you come up that ladder, you can grab some Numbing Mist, and that works the same way that the Undead Hunter's Charm does in Dark Souls 3, or the Lloyd's Talismans do in Dark Souls 1, and I believe they're in 2 as well. I don't really ever use them in those games, except to take care of the mimics. They're really useful in this game, though. Numbing Mist is, of course, used to keep people from healing. Vicar Amelia does a move where she can heal herself. There are various hunters in the game that can heal themselves when you try to fight them. So Numbing Mist is always good to have. And we don't end up using it in this fight, because we don't end up having to. but I always try to make sure it's on my bar, just in case I do have to use it in this fight. I was kind of trying to decide there whether or not I wanted to fight that church giant, but I decided not to. And these guys up here, if I were to let them hit me, that would have been the first sign of something called frenzy. And frenzy is sort of the bleed equivalent in this game. It is a extremely debilitating status effect, takes a lot of health away from you, and it's really irritating to get rid of. And I'm not sure that I even have the item that it takes to get rid of it. So this is Vicar Amelia. I'm going to let this boss fight play out. So that's Vicar Amelia. She can actually be pretty difficult to defeat if you are lower level or you don't put out as much damage as I was putting out with her. She can hit you pretty hard, as one hit from her took about half of my health away. So she can definitely be troublesome if you do not know how to fight her and you are not at a higher level. And here we're going to crush the tear stone finally that the doll gave us, and we're going to crush the gold pendant that we just got from her. And these give us 2 different blood gems. The one that Vicar Amelia gave us gives us added damage if we are fighting against beasts, and of course the one that the doll gave us gives us a HP recovery effect on our weapon. But the best way to fight Vicar Amelia is to just throw some fire paper on your weapon, because she's weak to fire. Go for her legs, because you can break her limbs, and you can actually get visceral attacks on her if you break her limbs in that way. But that's going to do it for the end of this episode. Not sure what we're going to do in the next episode, but stay tuned, and I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.